Hi Virgo, how are we today? Just doing our weekly readings. This week we're just doing a bit of a check-in on your energy, see what's going on for you. I will draw a couple of cards for love as well, but make sure you do subscribe to the channel. I do really appreciate that. Leave me a comment as well and let me know if there's any specific topics you would like to see a reading on. I'd definitely love to take that on board and see what we can come up with for you. Today we are using a few different decks here. We've got the Cosmic Messages Oracle. I am using the Egyptian Oracle as well as the Sweet Love Tea Love Oracle. And then clarifying everything today with the Lunar Lenormand. All right, so getting sort of straight on into it for you, Virgo. We're going to start off with an affirmation message for you. Okay, affirmation message for Virgo. Virgo's affirmation message. Be authentic. Anything else is just exhausting. All right, so you're spending a bit of time and energy into versions of yourself that are not necessarily true to who you really are. Are we putting on a bit of a mask at the minute, Virgo? Not going to lie, it is a bit of a common energy with the earth signs so far this week that, we do have some masks in place this week. And, sometimes we put those up to protect ourselves, but, it's not authentic. It's not, if we're feeling like crap, just tell people I'm feeling like crap. Leave me alone. That is totally fine. We're allowed to do that. This is your life. You can live it however you choose to. All right. So you may as well, be authentic and save yourself some time and energy. Right. But, it's just kind of, I'm picking up something about, with the word exhausting coming through there, I'm picking up something about somebody's car exhaust having issues this week as well. So just keep an eye on that you may need to have some money set aside to fix that car exhaust if that's yours. Okay, Virgo. So it's just obviously one person's car exhaust I'm picking up on here. It might actually be a motorbike. I'm not sure. I can't quite tell if it's a motorbike or a car. I'm just hearing an exhaust. Okay, and it was just pointing the word out to me, the exhaust, saying the exhaust. So I suppose it could also be, it because it's still rattling that word around. So there's obviously still something there. It could be, some sort of other exhaust system for some of you here. There may be more than one of you have. Okay, so there's at least one who's got some car exhaust issues. Okay, definitely a car exhaust issue there. But there may actually be I'm picking up on 2 or 3 other exhaust issues. So whether it's exhaustion or your, like a stove exhaust. What else has exhaust? I don't know. I am not a mechanic of any type. Well, a bit of a bush mechanic, but that's about it. Okay, Virgo. What's going on for Virgo? What does Virgo need to know right now? But yeah, I'm just picking up that, there's someone here that's been, you've been wondering, is that exhaust all right? And get it checked out this week, because otherwise it's going to break before, it needs a repair. It needs to be repaired. I'm just trying to think, exhausts around my home. I have the exhaust fan for the bathroom. I have the exhaust fan for the stovetop. Do air conditioners have exhausts? Yeah. Car exhausts. Oh, exhaustion. I'm always tired, so I don't think that counts. Virgo. Messages for Virgo, please. Okay. The hieroglyphs. Symbolism. Symbols. Pictures. Images. Eagles, for some reason. The bird image. Call upon the spirit of knowledge and understanding for insight and clarity. So there's the need to gain a bit of deeper knowledge and understanding about something this week for you, Virgo, so that you can actually, get a clearer picture, a clearer idea of what's going on. So for some of you, that's got to do with that exhaust. Okay, so you're planning on doing those repairs yourself. So maybe you need some knowledge so you know exactly how to do that, because YouTube tutorials and that sort of stuff. So random that I'm getting these exhaust messages here. And I'm getting the eagle. So something's got an eagle symbol. So someone's dealing with a company this week that has like an eagle as their logo or something like that. Or if you're trying to choose a company to go with the eagle company, all right? That's the best one. And, okay, Virgo. Virgo, I was just having a chat with my team here, and now they're messing with me, I swear. Virgo, what's going on for Virgo this week? So I'm getting a lot of humor for you as well, Virgo, that the need to, focus on humor this week and be a bit more, more lighter and playful in your mannerisms this week. Firstly, we have the house coming through. So, you're for some of you, this is once again, it's that exhaust around the home, something to do with your actual house. But for majority of you, this is about you being very stable in finding your own independence, finding some sort of mental, emotional, physical stability and security within your own self through this fox energy. Okay, so the fox energy is, intelligence, and it's very clever. It's a bit sneaky sometimes, and because I'm seeing the fox like tiptoeing through the house. The house does usually refer to, your security and stability. Like, you are this house. All these rooms within this house are different parts of you yourself. So that's why things are getting exhausting for you this week, because you've been putting on a bit of a facade. You've been focusing so much on the outside of the house and the presentation to the world that I am secure, that I am stable, that you haven't actually been, doing the do. It's like you've been speaking the part, but you haven't actually been doing the part. Like, you've been putting so much effort into the outside appearances that, internally you're not actually, you're kind of catching up a little bit here to being able to actually be that confident on the inside of yourself, as what you're portraying you are. So just sort of working a little bit at the moment on your own independence and what it means to you to survive and how you survive this world, doing what you need to do for you, and saying what you need to say, for yourself and your own independence, and, worrying about your stability, doing those things, in order to keep yourself stable within yourself. So sometimes it does involve, a bit of sneakiness and not necessarily saying every little thing, but saying enough of the truth that we're still being authentic. All right, but for some of you, there is a bit of it's like I said, a playful energy. It's sometimes it's a player energy, but I'm picking up more so needing to be playful, because you kind of, I'm seeing foxes rolling around in the snow outside a little cottage there covered in snow. I'm seeing foxes sort of rolling around and playing in the snow. So you're kind of needing, that's part of what is keeping you stable at the minute, is that humor, that playfulness, and looking at the lighter side of life at the moment here as well. Okay, and then we do have the mice and the birds. Okay, so there is the need for you to, because there's still something that is trying to rock you out of your stability at the moment, out of your inner security within yourself. That whether it's your, mental stability or your emotional security, there's still something trying to sort of knock you off kilter a little bit here. It's kind of just niggling away in the back of your head, eating away at you a little bit here. Something that you feel like you lost, you had taken from you. You lost something in the past here. It's more so just something that still just stresses you out a little bit, that you haven't actually had the conversation that you need to have. So for a lot of you, it's kind of, you've been, um, you know, not being authentic and not having those authentic conversations that you need to have, that are full of truthfulness. And so I do feel here that there's a conversation that it's kind of like you've been, it needs to come. It's been coming for a while now, but you just haven't actually had that conversation, and it's kind of just eating away at you and stressing you out a little bit here. And it's kind of this energy of like, get it out of the way, use this conversation as an opportunity to find understanding and knowledge about each other, so that you can both gain extra clarity and insight into, the situation. I'm picking up for some of you, it's kind of like deciding where your relationship with somebody is going from here, or whatnot, because I'm kind of picking up on not just love stuff here. I'm picking up, like, for some of you, it's like you're wanting to have a conversation with a family member because you kind of want to cut them off, but you want to have a last ditch attempt conversation with them to see if they're willing to meet you halfway, or take responsibility for their actions, kind of thing. And you're wanting to have that conversation just to see if there is any way to save that relationship before you cut it off completely. So I'm picking up on that, as well as some love kind of stuff here as well. There's just some conversations that you want to have, but you just haven't actually had those yet. And this, it's kind of just saying, it's just going to keep eating away at you, and it's just going to keep knocking you off kilter within your own stability and your own understanding of your own, survival and independence here. It's just going to keep knocking you off balance if you don't have that conversation. So it's kind of saying that this is the week to broach that conversation and have that conversation and get it over and done with, kind of thing. All right. But for those of you where that resonates, you kind of already knew that anyway, right? Virgo, looking at romantic love and romance for our Virgos. What does Virgo need to know in regards to romantic love? I kind of want to say romantic love opportunities for Virgo. So I'm picking up strongly on like the word opportunities being added into that. Pardon? Open chapter. There are still pages to write, so make them great. Revisit, enjoy, and keep going. So for those of you who are in a connection already, enjoy where you're at and keep on going, and make sure you're writing that in the direction you want to write that in. I feel like for those of you who are in a connection, that maybe is what we're seeing here with this conversation is, something's been niggling away at you. If you want this relationship to, keep going and you want to write it into, an awesome ending of your story, you need to do the work. And that involves having this conversation in order to, push it in the right direction. For those of you who are single, open chapter, you can, plot twists and unexpected new character development and everything. It doesn't matter. We don't know what comes next, and that's part of the fun with the book, isn't it? That that next chapter could have absolutely anything happen, because we haven't read it yet. It hasn't even been written yet, and it's up to you to write that into your own story. Okay, make it exciting. Ever after. Look at the cute little grandpa and grandma having the fortitude to create a lasting love, long-term, all in, and invest. All right, so for those of you where I spoke about being in a relationship already and you need to have that conversation, it's about this, is this our ever after? Are we invested? Are we all in? Are we still going to be, a little old couple sitting on the porch together? Or do we both need to go our separate ways? Where we're revisiting these topics and really deciding, are we both, moving towards the same goals here? Are we both moving towards, happily ever after? Or are we, needing to write new stuff into the book here? All right. So really sort of contemplation when it comes to, and be authentic, be true to yourself, and be honest about where you're coming from with whatever's going on for you here, Virgo. But for those of you who are still looking, here comes that happily ever after. That happily ever after, you're in an open chapter. So you write what happens between now and happily ever after. Okay. And I do feel the need to add here that happily ever after is never the end either, guys. Happily ever after is something that you still have to, wake up and choose every single day. You have to there's still things that happen after the happily ever after. You still need to put in a bit of work, all right? The best example, Shrek, the Shrek movie, okay? At the end of the Shrek movie, we saw happily ever after, but then there's a Shrek 2 when all of a sudden they've got to go and meet the in-laws, and that's the next challenge in that relationship. So they have to consciously choose, we still need to work towards our happily ever after, even though we're already in the happily ever after. We're still working towards the happily ever after. And then, guess what? Happily ever after at the end of Shrek 2. And then do you know what? There's a Shrek 3 where all of a sudden a brand new challenge. They have children. And then you've got to revisit everything and rework out happily ever after from there. Okay, so happily ever after is a conscious decision that needs work continually. It's not something that, it's not like in the fairy tales, guys. I'm sorry. But, not the Disney ones anyway. So I just felt the need to mention that, all right? Even happily ever after still needs attention sometimes. Clarify this message for Virgo. Virgo, romantic love for our Virgos. What does Virgo need to know in regards to love and romance? Building strong foundations here. There may be the need to, isolate yourself, whether you're doing that in a very independent self-isolation kind of way, to really sit down with your own self and decide, what do I want here? Where's this going? Am I building strong foundations here? Is the foundation strong enough to last ever after? Or whether you're locking yourself away in that bedroom fort with your person for a few days and having a bit of isolation from the world in general with your person. Okay, so that's always an option. Isolation doesn't always have to be alone, all right? Superman and his Fortress of Solitude, I'm sure he's had people in there at least once. In fact, I'm sure I saw a movie where there's someone in there with him, Lois Lane in there with him, right? Takes his girl in there with him. But then we have the child and the clouds. So keeping our thoughts very positive, really, really finagling our thought processes at the moment and refocusing so that we're clearing our confusion, we're clearing out any, clouded judgment we have on things, any unclear thoughts, any anxieties we have, or any negative thinking, overthinking that we're having. We're clearing that out with this child energy, which is, focusing on the adventure, that it's cool. I get to write this new chapter of my life and it can be whatever I want it to be. And it's going to be amazing because, I'm like this child energy where I've got the whole future ahead of me and I could be an astronaut, or maybe I'll be, the prime minister, or maybe I'll be the queen or a princess. I don't know. You never know what's going to happen when life is an adventure, right? So you're keeping that playful, fun life energy going in your thought processes as well. So, you're being very light with your thoughts at this moment, or trying to, spin it back around for yourself every time things do get a little bit heavy up there. And that really helps you think clearly. Okay, so that's what we have for you today. You're more than welcome to check your other placements, of course. Subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you all again soon.